What's up, guys? Kane here. I've got another 1v1 for you. This time it's Ivan D and Shata1son on Rapids V1, name of the map here. We're going to see Ivan D in the northeast with the red amphibious factory, and in the southwest with the green amphibious factory. Shata1son here with his support commander. So the reason I chose this game in particular was because I just actually played a 3v3 with Shata1son on my team, and well, I talked a little bit of trash about him. Not really trash about him. I just said I didn't like what he was building, basically. And then he essentially proved me wrong, 100%. And so I had to take a look and see how he plays in the 1v1 room, because I've never really seen him here. His elo is considerably lower in 1v1 than in teams. But, I mean, yeah, I just wanted to check it out and see how it went. So anyway, he's going to be building a few ducks, hanging out here. Bit of a delayed scout. Pretty typical of a 1v1 player anyway. This first duck from Ivan D is going to be, or typical of a teams player, I meant to say. It's going to be engaging that duck there. It looks like he's going to be heading back up to the north side. Probably not wanting to overcommit heading to the base too early. So a couple more ducks. It looks like early conch as well. Building the LOT to fortify the south side. Looks like this group of ducks for Shadow 1 is going to be pretty much just defensive, working to scare away the scout. He certainly doesn't want to let it hang out here in his territory. He's certainly going to want to expand up to the north here anytime soon. Let's take a quick look at the eco view on the map. You can see that there's one mech per island, a couple of mechs on each side of these peripheral islands. This is a super mech in the center. It works well to overdrive it. You can use solar collectors or wind gens, I believe, on this map. Let's have a look. I don't really know how to check that, honestly, but yeah, anyway. Definitely a good idea to take these islands as quickly as possible. We're seeing Ivan D setting a constructor out completely on its lonesome, no escort whatsoever, to the southeastern island. Now, my prediction is that this is going to pay off for him just fine. I don't imagine that Shadow 1's actually going to head over and raid him out, especially with his forces pretty well concentrated up here to the north, as we can see. Looks like he is going for a bit of a soft contain, at least across this northern approach, but Ivan D is building up a pretty large mass of ducks, rather. He certainly has local superiority here. I'm not sure if he's aware of these ducks. I don't believe so. Ooh, let me turn off that lighting view as well. But yeah, I don't think that he's aware of these ducks whatsoever. Looks to be heading out to this middle island with his commander. Again, a larger force of ducks. Shadow 1 has actually fractured his forces, which is more of an advanced tactic, but I think here's going to pay off for Ivan D if he forces the engagement here. I believe Ivan D is aware that he has the superior force, so certainly does want to pick a fight. Going excellently for him, so, well, maybe not excellently, huh? Getting scared away? I don't know. I think if that had gone for another couple of volleys, he would have destroyed the rest of the forces here for Shadow 1. So very good call, bringing him back into the water to repair. Building some stack defenses now to help for the next engagement. And he's actually going to bring down the second pair of ducks to try and unite his forces, it looks like, or maybe even enfilade this line. Now, that would be impressive, and I would once again have to take back everything I've said about the poor guy. Let's see here. He is going to force the engagement here. Just a couple of ducks. Looks like he's been massing up pretty well just outside of his base. He also has a constructor positioned to take the central island once he gains the territory. He has scared Ivan D away, so, well, I mean, I guess that speaks for itself. He's taken very decisive control of this central island. Looks like Ivan D is going to be regrouping here across this northern approach. Shadow 1's commander heading up to the northern island to try and take it. Radar first, which is always a good call. Down here on the southeastern island, one metal extractor and one stardust from Ivan D. A little bit comical, but certainly one of the hallmarks of Ivan D's playstyle, I think, using the stardust like that. He's going to be heading over to this northern island, trying to pressure this commander. Shadow 1 responding with his own force of ducks. Looks like Ivan D has these balled up pretty well. Shadow 1 making sure to line move as far as I can tell so far in this game. Doing pretty well as far as positioning his raiders, and actually hasn't transitioned out of the raider game too early, which is a very common mistake from teams players. A couple of ducks coming in along this eastern side to pressure this constructor. I'm not sure if they're going to take out this torpedo launcher. These forces over here still in the positioning phase, but just about to engage here. No, Ivan D might be pulling away. Looks like he is heading down to the southeast to assist. Those ducks do go down to the torpedo launcher. These are very strong stack defenses, plus with the help of the conch to repair it. Definitely a fortified position. Looks like Shadow 1 retains control of this central island. Does have the idle constructor here, but has made sure to construct some forward radar, putting up some torpedo launches across on the coast. Interesting to note here that he's building it on land so that the submarine units actually can't attack it from a distance. Very subtle thing to note, but very important when using torpedo launchers. Another option to accomplish the same thing recently is to use the build menu here. Let me select a constructor. So if you hit the defense tab and then hold Alt while you press this urchin, when you place it, you'll have the option to terraform it here, like this. If you terraform this platform so that it's above the water, then it's actually invulnerable to submarine units like torpedoes. and that sort of thing. But enough about that. Another engagement lining up here along this northwestern side. This small ball of ducks actually working out pretty well to take out just a part of the line, but getting a surround placed on it by Shata1. Still ultimately a great engagement for Ivan D. About to head up into the range of the Stardust, though. Should lose quite a few ducks. In fact, nearly his entire force. In fact, his entire northern force has been taken out by that Stardust. A couple of conches out here, completely undefended now with the downfall of that army. He has fortified the southeastern position, so he should be fine, but certainly is under a lot of pressure up here to the northwest. As far as static defenses, we do see the torpedo launcher on the platform, just like I mentioned, and then he also has the LLTs up as well. Not terribly well defended. It does have a scallop here in case these ducks do make it onto land. They'll be chewed up by that shotgun pretty easily. In fact, a couple of scallops now to defend, so he is at least holding the line up here to the north, but very much in a dangerous position. Economically, Shata1 with just a slight lead. He does have 2 out of the 3 islands and is, in fact, overdriving this metal extractor. So, what can I say, you guys? I was wrong. He's just a good player. All right. I'll get off the poor guy's case. So, these scalps are going to be charging in from Ivan D. They are skirmishers underwater compared to the raiders that are the ducks. So, actually, the ducks should be favored to win here. I'm not sure how we'll do comparing the metal investments, but if these scallops successfully kite them onto land to where they can use both their torpedoes and their shotguns, then these ducks will be gone in just a matter of moments. If you position them on the coast so that the enemy's underwater, but the scallop is actually on land and the enemy's close enough, then you'll be able to use both weapons on the scallop at the same time, which is a very subtle thing as well, as is often the case in an amphib mirror here on a good amphibious map as well. So Shata1 is very much fortified this northern position in addition to the central position. Hasn't made much of an effort down here to the southeast. Does have a couple of ducks here poking in. Give me just a moment to drink some water, guys. Alright, they're going to be engaging the torpedo launcher here. Pretty quickly drawing back. We are seeing the gunship switch from Shata1. Looks like he's just now getting his first rapier up. Interesting to see he's not actually switching to brawlers, which is also a very common mistake. Rapiers can do very well, especially in the role that ravens are typically used to fill, because you can sort of hit and run with them when you get the critical mass, to use an overloaded term or an overused term. But anyway, you can build up a large mass of them, move in, fire off a shot, retreat, reload, and well, you know the deal. These scalps are going to do a great job clearing out these torpedo launchers before they get constructed. I believe 3 of them should be able to take out even a constructed torpedo launcher, unless it's getting repaired by the commander. Shata1 is plopping down a few more of these guys, not setting them on platforms, but it does take a while longer to do. And he might not be aware of the feature yet. Let's see here. Was this his torpedo launcher? No, that was Ivan D's. Interesting. A couple of defenders, they do outrange the torpedo launchers, I believe, just barely. You can snipe a torpedo launcher. That's exactly how this one has been set up. It might actually need to be manual fired, but I believe it'll work just the same. I did hear that stinger go off. I'm not sure exactly at what, but this is a very well fortified position. We are seeing some ravens coming out now from Ivan D as well on the northern side. So both players have made an air switch. This is shaping up to be a very good game. If Shata1 can bring this all the way home, it'll be an impressive win for him considering the elo difference. But I guess that remains to be seen. There is also a grizzly under construction here from Ivan D. Just a couple of minutes out. We are heading into the 8.5 minute of the game. And at this point, we are going to see a small rapier ball coming out. Now, I believe these rapiers can do pretty well against the ravens. I'm not too sure if you have equal cost in both armies how it goes, but I do know they can be effective flex AA. These ravens actually making the stinger their first target. Surprising to see. I'm not too sure about that. I think maybe just the mexes would be a great start. Economically, Shata1 has maintained just his slight economic lead the entire game, so certainly very close. Neither player opting to build the geothermal extractor on their peripheral islands. I guess it would be difficult to hook up the overdrive. In fact, I think if Ivan D rebuilt this metal extractor, he would be just on par. No, he's actually getting just a bit further behind as I speak. Pretty significant engagement coming down here. Massive ducks pressuring this commander. He's retreating back to the safety of the Stardust. That with his shotgun that's equipped as his level 1 module. No, this commander is going to go down. That one last shot barely takes him out. Now, was that a good trade? I'm not sure on that one. I don't really think that commander was doing too much, and the reclaim is all in Ivan D's territory. I hear these rapiers are engaging the Stardust, actually doing a pretty good job. Stardust is flex AA, you might not be aware, even though it's being slowed by these rapiers pretty considerably. Yeah, I don't know, it did a pretty nice job against air units. These ravens are coming in to actually bomb out this last gunship, taking some flak from these tridents as well. Ultimately, both of those ravens are going to go down, so Shata1 pretty convincingly taking air superiority here. The gunship switch compared to the Raven switch, I mean, if you match the two up against each other, I think the gunship switch has to win at this point, right? I mean, nearly all of its units can attack the air factory, or at least the useful ones now, so I mean, even fighters can get taken out by rapiers, plus the tridents are pretty tanky. Certainly it preempts the heavy Raven spam, doesn't it? I guess I'm not too sure. It'd be interesting to hear you guys' opinion on that. Do you prefer the gunship or Raven's ship? Gunship or airplane factory switch in 1v1s? Things seem to have slowed down a little bit, but it looks like Shadow1 is going to be pretty slowly taking territory with his rapiers. Ivan D is completely taken off of the southeastern island. He is forced up to the northeast here. I'm not sure he's going to be able to break out. Things are certainly stalled out for him. Economically, he's still very much on par, but I believe he is. No, he's not accessing. Actually, Shadow1 is accessing. Continuing to pour ducks out and switching to scalps now, but leaving his gunship factory idle, which is a bit of a mistake, but ultimately not the biggest deal. Just being able to contain Ivan D like this is certainly a big win. Ivan D is working with his reclaim as heavily as possible. That's how he's maintaining the economic superiority. Once that runs dry, if he hasn't figured something out, it's going to be in a pretty bad position. That being said, militarily, he's at nearly on par with Shadow1. I think if you exclude Shadow1's commander, which is not really being used militarily, I guess it is a bit on the front lines here. Oops, sorry guys, my mouse is bugging out, unfortunately. But anyway, this Grizz is going to try and thin out as much of the stack defenses here as it can. I mean, that's certainly exactly how it should be used, but I don't think Ivan D is going to be able to break out with it quite yet. These rapiers continuing to whittle away at the torpedo launchers, clearing out this eastern side finally. And now these raiders are in a pretty good position to try and take out this grizzly. I think I don't see much support here. No, a couple of scallops coming in, so maybe better just to hold off. Honestly, I think a brawler. What are we seeing here? It looks like a crow being built up once again. So this guy likes his gunships, and he certainly likes his crows. I mean, he seems to use them well enough, at least in the team game. I'm not sure if that crow is going to get completed during the course of this game. We are 12 minutes in. Ivan D is in quite a contain at the moment. I don't think he's going to be able to break out of it if Shadow1 doesn't make any large mistakes. Now, you can see here that the reclaim is sort of dried up a bit for Ivan D. He's down to just 9, sometimes 11, 12 metal per second, but nowhere near Shadow1's economy of 29, 30 metal per second, even more when he gets into the reclaim himself. These Raidens are going to be heading down to the eastern side. Shadow1 actually hasn't taken anything here, but this base is fairly vulnerable. Maybe the caretaker, no. These Tridents are doing a good job to defend. It looks like at least one of the Ravens is going to slip by, heading down across the southern side. Let's take a look at his target. No, actually going to be returning back to base. Might actually get taken out, yeah, by these Tridents in the process. So ultimately losing one of those Ravens for free. The second one not doing much himself, to be honest. A couple of scallops trying to pick off this duck as well as they can. These ducks bravely trying to approach on land. They are able to take out the Stardust. I mean, that was a pretty big deal. Should be able to approach here pretty much without any recourse from Ivan D. This Grizzly is the vast majority of his army, I think. He has 4 scalps bunched up on land, not actually doing much for him here. So this Grizzly is probably Shadow1's biggest problem. I mean, his plan is just to wait 2 minutes for this crow to come up, which is certainly a great plan as well. He is using this reclaim as well as he can. Actually, get his commander a bit farther forward and speed it up just a bit, but ultimately he doesn't have to. Just using the rapiers to take down this Grizzly will probably make Ivan D resign. He really, like I've said, doesn't have much recourse. A few anglers now to handle the gunship switch from Shadow1, but that's, like I mentioned, totally preempted his Raven switch. He honestly would have been better off just not even switching to airplanes at all, but of course he didn't know that he would get shut down like this. But yeah, I guess that just speaks to the power of the gunship switch. You know, especially with a little bit of economic superiority, you get that, you know, concentrated AA from the Tridents. They have the high alpha, and especially if your opponent doesn't see your gunship switch, which isn't very common at the moment. It used to be more common, sort of fell out of favor, but recently has been making a bit of a comeback, and here it is being used to great effect by Shadow1. So, I mean, I'm going to try that out myself, but don't tell anyone. So this Grizzly trying to poke out here from Ivan D. These scalps trying to provide some support. So things have certainly slowed down a bit. If I'm Ivan D, I mean, I guess this is really my only hope, right? I have to push out with the Grizzly, I have to defend him with these anglers, I have to use the scalps to support him against the Raiders as well as I can, and I have to just try and punch a hole. You know, do what I can to defend, take advantage of the fact that Shadow1 has invested a lot of unused metal, at least at the moment, into this crow. It is due to come up any moment. I'm pretty sure once it takes off and just gets into Ivan D's line of sight, that'll be a good game. But that might not even happen here. It all depends just how well Shata1 can deal with this push here from Ivan D. It looks like Ivan D's going to be hanging out. What else is he building? Does he have some other plan beyond this? He has a Raven coming up in 30 seconds. Just a couple of them flying around. But like I said, the Ravens are so well shut down by Shata1's AA here. I don't think it's a big deal. Shata1's just continuing to pressure Ivan D. I mean, even if all he does is whittle him down and kill him with the death by 1,000 cuts, that's really all it takes, you know? Yeah, these Tridents are super aggressively pushing in. It's completely shut down the air factory here from Ivan D. These Rapiers alone could probably end the game by taking out the eco here at base. 2 LTs is all they have to deal with. Everything else is down way far to the southeast here. Ivan D's base is completely undefended, so really once this LT goes down, well, I guess there's a scallop up now. That could defend against this gunship push here. I'm not too sure they can just avoid the scallop, and once they slow him down, oh, no, this is probably a good game right here. We'll just follow this crow as he rides off into the sunset, and by sunset I mean Ivan D's base. Here we go, these laser blasters firing Ivan D. All he has to say is heh, GG, and as predicted, he throws in the towel on the side of the crow. I mean, that was a great game, Shata1. Unexpected victory. That was awesome, dude. And, well, made me eat crow, one might say. I have to take back everything I said about him. He showed that he was a very strong 1v1 player, taking out a player I respect and have a hard time dealing with myself and Ivan D. That was a great game from both players. I really enjoyed that. I hope you guys did as well. I'll catch you all next time.